He didn't slam you, he didn't bump you, he didn't nudge you, he rubbed you. And rubbing's son is racing.
And welcome everybody to Locked On iRacing 2021, Season 3, Week number 5. I'm Peter Wilco Wilkinson and I'm joined by the amazing Braden Martin here, half in lockdown, half not in lockdown, rugged up like a Eskimo and ready to do homeschooling. How you going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Just, what are we? An hour and 42 minutes into lockdown in SA. So wonderful news for my Tuesday afternoon.
Yes, we almost didn't get a podcast tonight, but we got there in the end. We're going to do it.
So,
We're going to get it. And because we've got big news to talk about. So cannot wait to do it. So let's just get straight into it, mate. What have you been up to for the last week? Abridged version.
Oh, what have I been up to? We've done a little bit of racing and a little bit of streaming, which has been nice. Obviously, the Skips went to Road Atlanta this week.
I did too in the officials. I haven't even looked at an official in months.
The officials, so went to Road Atlanta, the short version, which is the first time I'd driven that track, as I just hadn't bothered to purchase it and kind of had skipped it when it had popped up in other series that I'd raced and just sort of kind of avoided it. No, not for any particular reason, just a track I didn't really feel the need to buy. Or the weeks that it was on, I just kind of felt like I needed a bit of a break, so it was kind of a good excuse to not jump in and race the officials. But yeah, had some mixed luck. Did about 5 races there, I think. The first sort of time I went out on the track, I found it really tricky. I found it really hard to get into a rhythm. But once you sort of start to understand the track a bit more and know where the apexes of the corners are on those hidden crests and stuff, it was a pretty fun track to drive.
Definitely.
So yeah, had a couple of good results. Had a 6th, a 4th, a 5th, and another 5th in a couple of the races, but also managed to pull off a win, which was nice. It was a bit of a hollow victory because the person who was leading was about 8 seconds up the road, and with about 3 laps to go, just had a spin whilst trying to eventually get around some lap traffic, I think, and spun off. And then I had to... I got in front and was about 3.5 seconds down the road, and I was actually on stream. You can go back and watch it. And I was like, 3.5 seconds, that's fine. Like, I got 2.5 laps left. Like, he's not over a second quicker than me per lap. So, as long as I don't make any mistakes, I should be fine, which was obviously famous last words. And I pretty much went on to bottle almost every single corner of the last lap and a half and almost literally gave him the win. So I ended up crossing the line 0.117 seconds ahead for the win. So it was very, very lucky. And that was obviously Oscar Chinchilla Maza was the guy who I managed to beat, and his I rating's 6,250. So I was pretty happy with that. I then did Sunday Night Lights. Didn't make top split this week, which is a bit of a shame. And was on for a really good race. I qualified 4th, I think, from memory. Managed to sort of work my way up into 2nd. And was just trying to be really patient until I gave myself a bit of a self spin. Basically, the lap after I got into 2nd, and 3rd clipped my side and gave me damage. And basically, the car was just slow after that. I had no pace and basically slowly went backwards to 12th, which is a bit disappointing because I was on for a pretty good result, and I ended up staying on and doing the next race because I was a bit frustrated and had another pretty good race, although I was racing with this guy who, I don't know, it was a top 5 and we were all driving around together, being pretty patient. I was just staying in the draft. And then eventually he sort of made a little mistake. So I decided, well, I've got the run on him. I'll take over in 4th and he can slot in behind me. But he had other ideas and decided to defend into the chicane. So I broke early and tried to, file in so that we'd stay in the draft. And then he made a few more mistakes. I think I made him a bit nervous going for the move, and we lost the draft pretty quickly of the top 3. And then so I tried to get around him again, went defensive into the chicane, and at this point we're just losing seconds per lap because he keeps defending. And he was defending really early, so going right over to the left really early. So the next lap I decided, well, if you're going to go over to the left early, I'm not going to go all the way over to the right. I'm going to make you really have to compromise your entry into the chicane, and I'm going to sit myself right in the middle of the road. And he just came over, kept coming over, literally hit me in the side. Like I was going dead straight down the thing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he just expected that I would let him continue to come across and I would move over into the right-hand side, which I wasn't just going to continue to let him defend and do nothing. So he hit me. Luckily, no damage, and somehow we both got away with it. Like I have actually no idea how we both got away with it. I ended up
very lucky.
I ended up bleeding him for most of the race, and then made a slight mistake, and we touched wheels into the final chicane, which was just a racing incident. It wasn't okay, but I wasn't happy about the treatment I got on the straight early in the race. So ended up with a 5th for that, but it was pretty good. And then obviously we had Ozicar, so I guess we can talk briefly about that. We went to Monza, which was interesting.
Yes, it was something different anyway.
Yeah, it was sort of mixed results, mixed levels of happiness and annoyance for me. Off-tracked my second qualifying lap, and if I hadn't have, the lap that I put in would have put me on the front row, which is pretty cool. And then had a weird race one where I sort of lost the draft of the top four or five, then got it back, and then lost it again by making a mistake, and then got it back. And then obviously managed to get Donald into the last corner to get 5th, but was involved in that amazing dead heat finish that we'll talk about, which was pretty cool. And then second race again, didn't qualify that well. Qualified 10th. Sorry, was it even more? Was it 12th? I can't remember. It was low. I think it might have been 12th actually. And and then sort of fought my way back through the field. Nathan and I sort of tried to work together for the whole sort of race, but at times
footage showed the coverage of it was you two nose to tail the whole way around.
Yeah, I think we weren't good enough at working together. We kind of were tripping each other up. I would make a silly little error, or we wouldn't quite get the run at the right time, which means we'd have to back out, or then we'd both back out thinking one of us was going to. We just didn't quite get it right, which meant we were losing a little bit of time to the Milo boys ahead of us. And and then coming through Ascari, the last lap, I decided to try and mount one of those blacks. Massive pyramid curves, and destroyed my car, and was lucky to make it home in 8th spot. To be honest, I completely just destroyed any resemblance of undercarriage that car had left, and
I've done that a few times in practice.
Almost didn't make it home, but managed to stay in 8th.
Actually, what Snell did in race 2 himself, by the look of it. So
exactly,
you did start 12th, just to confirm that as well.
I thought so.
Well done. I had 2 of the worst starts to races I've done in a long time. So one of them I didn't even get in gear again. I was too busy worried about wrong settings. I had a wheel map to 600, which was meaning I was having to throw the wheel around like a madman just to get around corners in Monza. But worked that out after qualifying. Couldn't even get a lap in practice. Got it together for qualifying, changed it just for the race, and then had mind on something else on that. So I didn't get her into gear and went straight to the back of the field, 30th, with about a second off the pack by the first chicane, which obviously quickly evaporated as everyone stopped for the first corner, and worked my way back up to, I think it was about 20th, 0x, which was really good. Very, very happy with that. Around Monza, coming through the field from the back, did get a slowdown on the first corner, avoiding a crash. So apparently stayed on the track, but still got so got 0x.
Sounds like hacks to me, Peter.
Was very much hacks, but I just avoided people. Got some speed up. Felt confident again with the car, which then led into number 2. Didn't put in the best qualifying because I was just worried about staying on the track, and started in that race around 23rd of a 30 field, so way back again, and stayed out, and then me and Ira got sort of locked into a sort of a battle, and the same thing. I kept on tripping over myself trying to get past him or not get past him, and then made multiple mistakes on corner 1. And corner 1, when I got in front of him, losing probably a second a lap, and you could see it on my flat map how far backwards I was going. So then I sort of gapped him and tried to stay in front, and then tried to break the draft to the point where I was probably 0.7, 0.8 ahead of him going into the main straight again each time, and he could get right back up and not able to overtake. So meant I could lead, and I was doing a second lap quicker and was starting to gain on the people in front finally. And then I actually broke him with 3 laps to go, which is when he decided to pit, which was great for me because then he was going to come out. I was going to do it. I focused on my in lap. He had to come out on an out lap on colds, which made me put about 4 seconds on him in that lap. So came out 4 seconds, 5 seconds ahead of him. But as I do in this massive window of no one near me, so I couldn't do anything for the last 2 laps. I just had to hold on to get 16th, so up 7 positions in the last race as well. So that was good. Pretty good team results. We had Chastity on the podium for race 1 in the crazy finish, which we'll talk about. But yeah, Matthew Mites unfortunately had a bit of an accident in number 2, and Tim seemed to get caught up in a few incidents as well, unfortunately. But look, other than that, we went to New Hampshire in the trucks in the stock car racing Asia Pacific, powered by SimSpeed and AOG thing that I'm in. So New Hampshire, for you people who don't know, no banking, pretty much just an oval, mile in length, pretty heavy braking zones at either end of the track, and had it sort of feeling smooth going in, but not really right, and then just fell into bad habits. Had a bit of pace while the tyres were good, but I quickly shredded my tyres up, which is something I don't normally do, but because of the heavy braking markers, I was too busy going in heavy on the brakes. And we had 1 caution, which unfortunately involved Tim, which we found out now was a racing incident, even though I don't agree with that. But, stewards will go with it. But he ended up 3 laps down because of it. And I ended up a lap down because we went green to the end, which was 2/3 of the race. So I got off, could not steer the car at the end. I didn't want to pit though because I would have lost too much time, like a few people that I beat did. But yeah, had 33% of the inside right front left on the tyre, which wasn't optimal for doing quick laps. But yeah, came home in 14th, started 17th. What can you say? Trucks. We had to Richmond this week. I've done a little bit of practice on that, but nothing for a couple of days. So we'll see how we go. It's a little bit of a 3/4 mile track. Good banking though. Tricky turn 2 exit. Short track racing. We'll see how we go. Just got to see how many people turn up. That's the problem at the moment. It's only 20 people last Wednesday night, and it seems like a few people are dropping off since then as well. So, but we will see. That's all I've been up to. No officials, no nothing else.
I guess
Yeah.
the other stuff probably worth talking about. Obviously, there was Formula 1 on the weekend. There was some controversy out of that. What was
Yeah,
your
apparently. I haven't seen it yet.
You still haven't seen it? Okay.
I've been way too busy. Honestly, every time I sit down to do something, it's just like I either fall asleep or I've got to try and catch up on other stuff, house stuff, all this other stuff. So yeah,
Fair enough.
Hamilton apparently did the dodge on Max, from what I understand from all the spoiler talk.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because you don't want to discourage not racing. I just think there's so many factors involved. I've watched it a fair few times now, just out of intrigue and trying to think like what other result possibly could have happened. And it's like, yeah, it was an aggressive move from Hamilton. You're sticking it up the inside at a ridiculously fast-paced sweeping corner where if there's any contact, it's only ever going to end up horribly wrong. Max Verstappen, one of the most aggressive drivers Formula 1 seen for a long time. So can he really complain about Hamilton being aggressive?
Yeah.
The only main problem I sort of had with it was sort of the fact that Lewis didn't really hit the apex. But also, having said that, the way Max squeezed him over onto the wall, he kind of made it impossible for Hamilton to make the apex. So he kind of should have known that he was going to drift wide and maybe give more room. Verstappen did from the onboard camera. You see him open his wheel up slightly to try and give him a little bit more room. I don't know. I think it's hard because I think Lewis knew that if he didn't pass him on that first lap and a half, that he didn't have the pace to stay with Max. And maybe he did, but I think deep down he knew he didn't because of the way that the sprint race went the day before. Basically, the exact same thing happened. Max got him off the start this time, though. and Hamilton tried a few moves on the first lap. As soon as he didn't make it stick on the first lap, Verstappen drove away from it. So it was one of those things. The more I've watched it, the more I think about, what we're expecting these drivers to do. The fact that Max is super aggressive as well. There's a world championship on the line. The more I lean towards racing incident, but probably like 55% Hamilton's fault, 45% Verstappen's fault. It was just a weird one, and like, I don't know, I'm probably not smart enough to be analyzing those kind of incidents, but between drivers that are that world class. So maybe I sound like an idiot, but yeah, it was really tricky. And the other thing I kind of think is, like, if that had have been, say, I don't know, George Russell and Kimi Räikkönen having the exact same crash, I have a funny feeling the narrative would be very different, and people would be very quick to say, it's just a racing incident, two drivers racing hard. But the fact that it's Max and Lewis and there's a world championship on the line, I think that's where the polarizing sides of no, Max is an idiot, no, Lewis is an idiot sort of comes in and makes it a much bigger debate than it probably is.
That's it. Yeah. So.
And then we had the Supercars on the weekend as well, which was a few more sprint races.
So, and then they've gone and they're talking about doing Ipswich finally for the first time in a long time, which would be great. I'd be able to get down to it. It's only an hour and a half's drive from me, and that's the weekend we're camping up in Noosa. So,
oh no, I have to go to Noosa. You poor thing.
Well, it is. It's anyway. I won't go into it. It's all good. Let's move on to the news, though. So. Yeah. Welcome to the news, everyone. Brought to us by CD Cinematography. Clayton Davies, you're a legend. He's doing some great work over there. Some of the shots he's pulling out from the dirt are amazing. You can go check out him on Facebook, either Clayton Davies on Facebook or CD Cinematography. Just does some ultra realistic looking stuff out of iRacing. So if you want to get yourself some really good shots, maybe to put up on your wall or desktop or anything like that, or just to help promote your stuff, CD Cinematography, definitely the place to go. But he brings you the news, and we've got three big things to talk about in the news. The first one, we will start with the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. It's finally been announced. Now, we sort of hinted at it a couple of weeks ago when we had Emily Jones on, where she was talking about nothing's been announced yet, and hopefully it's going to come soon. Braden, first off the bat, excited that it's back?
Yeah, I just guess first of all, I want to say congratulations to Matthew Mites for making. Oh wait, no, that's right. He was joking about that.
Oh yeah, he did.
Inside Discord joke, guys.
Join our Discord. LockedOnLads.com/Discord. And you still would have seen it.
Really cool. It's nice to see professional sim racing broadcast on sort of mainstream media again. I'm pretty sure I saw that Fox Sports had picked up renewed their coverage for it. So I think that's pretty cool. More eyes on the sport.
Let's go through the actual announcement, I guess, before we go too far into it then, since we're touching on it already. So the E-Series will take place on the iRacing platform, which is pretty obvious. It's number one out there. Running over 6 fortnightly rounds starting on Wednesday, the 15th of September through to 24th of November. So midweek V8 action for you over the end of the season, which is really good to see. We'll offer the fans the perfect mix of Supercars main game drivers and elite sim drivers. So I assume you'll be seeing a few of those naysayers that are real life drivers not going in it. So I don't think we're going to see Davey Reynolds racing. I don't think we'll see Wing Cup or anyone like that, but we will see some of the best pro drivers on simulators, which will be really good. So it's going to be a double championship within the series. So there'll be the All-Stars, which will be the main game Supercars drivers. And what I'm excited about, the Dunlop Super 2 drivers will be joining to sort of fill in the gaps there. And then a Pro Series, which will be the elite gamers. Stop saying gamers, people. You're going to get the sim racers upset. Representing supercar teams and major brands competing for the top prize of more than $20,000. I guess the big news, which we touched on just then, it'll be live broadcast on Fox Sports 506, KO 7+, Supercars Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube pages. So plenty of places to check it out, including free-to-air TV, which is awesome news. So you're excited. Midweek racing, fortnightly.
I'm going to have to record it and watch it after the V's, obviously.
Yeah, so it's when well, that's it. So is Chaz racing in the V's now, or is Chaz racing in the Pro Series? I guess, or the E Series. So and Kostecki as well, to be honest. But no, it's good to see that they've the people backing it are bringing it back. It's huge news. Good luck to all the drivers that are obviously going to get announced over the next couple of weeks that are actually racing in it. Obviously, we'll see some of the biggest names in Australian V8 online racing included in that. You could probably rattle off 10 to 15 already that are going to be doing it. But yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see who does get the run and what are the actual main drivers, especially the Super 2 drivers, are going to get to cut their wares on the rig as well. So, any predictions already? Obviously, Shane Van Gisbergen's probably going to take out this as well.
I guess so. If that's what he wants to do, I'm sure he can. I'm assuming we'll see some names like Dane Warren and those kind of guys.
I'm
up
hoping
fighting for it.
We'll talk about it in a sec, but young Ethan Warren, I hopefully gets a bit of a call up as well. So starting to really show he's just as good as the other as his brother. So hopefully he gets a bit of run. Obviously Emily Jones will be there. Madison Down, who we've actually got in the podcast coming up fairly soon as well. It'll be interesting to see though those sort of the lower drivers, the ones that aren't TTR or Altus, how many of them get a go. It'd be interesting to see, Jordan Caruso and drivers like this, who where they're going to sit, I guess, because you think that Cooper Webster, you assume they're going to get a run, but what team they're going to align themselves with, I guess. So, very, very interesting couple of months coming up. And look, I'd love to do a little bit more content around it, but we've got to obviously we haven't even talked about the actual announcement yet. So let alone whether we can, put some more content in there. But I would love to get some drivers to preview races and interviews after races as well, and whatever we can do to support it and get our names alongside it in a rough kind of way, that'd be really good. But
so if you're listening, Foxtel, hit us up. We're happy to help out.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to happen. But yeah, look, I don't mind having a bit of a chat about it either before or after the race, and or both, and just slot it into the segment or whatever we have to do. But we'll talk about that as we get closer. Let's move on to the next bit of news, which we've got a pre-recorded piece for you. So we're obviously helping sponsor the Ozicar both V and Skip Barber series. We've announced and had the scoop on the new seasons each time for the last couple of seasons now since we've been podcasting, and this new season's no different. So I'd like to welcome to the podcast Ira Felberg to tell us all about the new content we're coming to Ozicar. And welcome Ira to the podcast yet again. It's appearance number like 7 or 8. Well done. We're here to talk about the scoop on Ozicar for season 9 for Formula Skip Barbers, season 2 for Formula Vee, and we haven't got a brand new thing to announce. It's all good. Ira, welcome. Congratulations on the last 6 weeks of racing. How have you found it overall, quickly?
Yeah, good. Yeah, thanks again for having me, I'll say firstly. And yeah, it's been pretty good. The fees have been a bit rough, but we can talk about that in more detail. But yeah, it always amazes me how quick 6 weeks goes. So here we are again already, starting a new season. And the skippies have just been like, I feel like I've said it every season for 8 seasons, but they just literally do keep getting better and better. And no thanks to the drivers in there. And we've had a couple of races now with 0.3 and then the dead heat last week, the 000. So and all throughout the field, the racing's been pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah, let's quickly talk about the contrast of the two series we've had running this season. So Formula Skip Barbers, some of the closest finishes across large groups of people. So we've had 6 and 7 cross the line within like a second of each other multiple times this season. The dead heat you talk about, multiple times it's been less than half a second or less than a couple tenths to get the winner. What an amazing series! But then you turn around with V's where pretty much you haven't gone without having to do multiple incidences in multiple races and involving the leaders. which is the biggest surprise? And what have you found the difference between the two?
Yeah, look, there's no doubt the V's have been pretty messy. Anyone who's in the Discord knows that by reading the penalty list. But in the driver's defence, I think there's a few things contributing to that. It is a new car. Does take everyone a while, to get used to them. The other thing is the tracks weren't really helping. Um, to be honest, really what happened was, right, I got a lot more cars than what I expected. So,
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking maybe 20, 25 cars. But those tracks, I'm trying to keep it as much free content as possible. Well, I was at the start, but yeah, too many cars, I think, on small tracks and, a combination of things not knowing. The other thing is the car's actually quite kind of darty, if that makes like sense to drive. It's sort of like pretty easy to like move around, move over. The other thing is a lot of those drivers in there are actually like brand new drivers, like they are new to league racing. So you kind of got to cut them a bit of slack. But having said that, obviously, I had to crack down by about round 4. There was a lot of people on penalties, and I talked to my brains trust, and it's like, what do we do? And I kind of felt like I had to do something, so we doubled the penalties. And I said to race control, I said, look, this will work, right? But someone will get caught up in this. Someone who's normally pretty clean will get 2 penalties in a race and get a week off.
And multiple Aussie car champion found himself in the firing line after round 5, didn't he?
Yeah, and look, it is it's funny, right? It's kind of harsh, but it's not. And here's the thing,
No.
from a league owner point of view, um, that kind of, and I'm not talking about, like that racing is incidents are racing incidents, right? I'm talking about the pulling back out onto the track, punting free people from behind. The problem with that kind of driving, right, is that it's not sustainable. Like as a league owner, we've seen what's happened with the dirt leagues, right? And I tell people, right, it's like bad service in a restaurant, right? Most people don't say anything; they just don't come again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I've already had
Exactly.
a few drivers tell me like they're not coming back because of the standard, and man, being objective, right? I can't blame them. Like I stopped racing after round 4 because I was getting pissed off, right? Just getting, punted and taken out. So, but yeah, you got to be patient too. It takes a while to build it. So I think, new drivers, a new bunch, like you guys have been around, especially Braden, the Skippies from the start, right? It wasn't always this good. And the same kind of thing happened. I think what you'll find is next season, a few people will drop off because they'll realise it's not for them. But already we see like a core group there of like good drivers. And in the driver's defence too, right? 2 things I'd like to say. One, I have not received one single complaint from any driver saying I don't think that was a fair penalty. And 2, all those drivers that were on that like list, only had one penalty.
Bad boy list. Yep.
Pretty much most of those drivers, right? I don't really tell tales out of school, but I'll say this: most of those drivers actually messaged me personally and said like, I'm embarrassed that I'm
Yep.
like even on there. So I hate doing it, but it shows me that it's working. And it's just about, I think part of the problem with free tracks, true, right, was it was kind of almost a bit too easy because, especially with sim racing, I found you got to do not just one thing right, but 10 or 20 things that make the driver place some kind of a value on finishing over being fast. Because that's the problem, obviously, right? You wouldn't go running into people in like $15,000 V's in real life.
No.
Um, so that's why I do the things that I do. And look, some people say it's strict, and that's okay. But I know it works already. I've been doing it for a year, and um, yeah, you just got to stay the course, kind of thing. And look, I think most of those drivers will come good. The other thing is bigger tracks.
Yeah.
We're gonna change that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But
I think me and Braden have talked a bit about this, and Braden will agree that it's also to do with we've had almost a year driving together. Most of us Skippy drivers, we know what's going to happen. We know who to look out for, and I think V drivers just haven't had that yet. So, look, hopefully, give them 3 or 4 months. If it's the same crew in 3 or 4 months' time, you'll see just probably even closer racing in V's and a lot cleaner stuff coming that way. But let's go on vacation, mate. Let's take ourselves to Europe, get away from the cold, and tell us about season 9 of Formula Skip Barbers, but the similarities that you're going to see in Formula V this season as well, I guess.
yeah, so same thing. Talking to my brains trust, we kind of decided that it's better to try to stick. It makes sense for everybody, the drivers practicing, me, and also Jay and everyone who works on the broadcast, to where possible stick to the same kind of tracks. So we talked about that. And basically, we've got a couple of seasons of tracks left that we haven't used, and we haven't done just a European season yet. So yeah, I thought it was time to get Russ and the kids and head off to the European vacation. So first round. The other thing is, there's 3 rounds that lined up with officials in the skips. That was a big part of the incentive as well, because where possible, I try to make it. It makes sense if you can have those tracks, so people that are doing officials kind of get the benefit of Ozicar and the official, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
So yeah, first track up's going to be Red Bull Ring Grand Prix for the skips and the V's. Then we're going to Barcelona because we haven't done that yet in the skippies.
We don't have to go there if you don't want to. You know that.
That's Grand Prix layout. Well, one thing I should go back to saying about this season, I think the skippies has shown the racing on the Grand Prix tracks has been really good.
Yeah,
It really suits the cars, and so that's part of the reason why I thought sort of keep that flavour going a bit. Now, round 3 is going to be the oval round, and for the skips, we're going to go to everybody's favourite oval, the best oval on there, well, in my opinion, and Jay's, and that's Dover. So, yeah, it's a big sort of fifth gear bank coliseum. It's a bit like USA, but on steroids. Not really. It's only 400 meters longer, I think. And you can still spin out, but it's got a lot more banking, and it's going to be quite a fun race. Now the V's aren't going to go to an oval yet. I don't think they're quite ready for that. So something we will introduce later. But yeah, we just because you're so close, guys would know what it's like. So that round, the V's are going to go. Or I should say as well, round 2, Barcelona, the V's will race on the national layout.
Yep.
Slightly shorter. Silverstone, round 3, the national layout as well. Then round 4 is at Imola, both on the Grand Prix layout. And then
Here we
round
go.
5, we're going back to Nürburgring, Grand Prix Strecke, Grand Prix layout. It's an official that week, but this time for the V's and the skips, it's going to be the endurance round. So it's instead of being 2 races, it's going to be one 50-minute race. And then the last round for both series will be at Solder on the alternate layout, which the only thing different on that is just the final chicane entering the straight, because I hate the other chicane. It's way too tight. The alternate's just a more open chicane. And then the main thing with the skippies, the points and all the way that's working is I think it's all going pretty sweet. So the only thing I am going to change is that we're going to restrict the fuel to 40% now for all races. So we've done it for some races in the past, but for now on, for all servers. So in the 30-minute race, you're going to take fuel.
Tactics.
Yeah, and what it'll do, it'll do a few things. It'll mix it up a little bit, and it was actually Jay who originally made the suggestion, and then I think Tim, one of your drivers, also suggested it. Because what it will do is obviously you can't take the fuel until you've burnt it, so it'll stop people stopping for tyres on lap 1 and 2, and you'll have to run a certain amount of laps before you can pit in. So it'll narrow the pit window. It'll still allow plenty of options, but really, like for a final product, what we want is cars racing together on track together as much as possible. And James's win at USA was really cool for James, right? Because he pitted on the first lap and then he didn't know until the end. It was like a buzzer beater. He hit one from halfway. But it's not much. It's cool for James, but it wasn't cool for the viewers. It's more interesting if they're racing together. So, and look, the other thing is what will happen is there's some tracks I can tell you already from testing. If you can save fuel, you'll only have to take the short fuel. You won't have to take like a full fuel. So
way it sits is it's 7.9 is the 40%. 3.8/9 is the top up, which you can. So we are still doing 2 front tires, right?
Yes, 2 front tires. That's going to.
So you can put in that small amount at less time than what it takes to put the tires on. So it's basically no change. but that only gives you 11.9 litres to get across the line. And definitely some of the tracks you can't get there with 11.9 unless you fuel save.
And I know you said that you shouldn't have to pit on lap, well, you won't be able to pit on lap 1 for fuel, but I'd take that as a challenge. The way I burn fuel, I might be able to pit on lap 1.
You'd be able to do a
I just might need to do.
strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
What is he doing? He's coming in again. Yeah, so
You're right. What you said's exactly right. But it'll make you, I don't know.
there will be drivers that have to do 7.9, which means their pit stops will be roughly about 3 to 4 seconds longer than everyone else in the field. So
Yes, you've done your research. Yes,
I've been doing my research for a very long time on this stuff. I love fuel. This is going to be amazing. I can't wait.
you can take the 3.9 while you take tyres, and it doesn't
Yes.
affect your stop at all. But
No.
yeah, if you got to take, and look, some of those tracks, I can tell you right now, you will need it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So it'll come into it.
That's the only changes. No other format changes. No points changes. It's just the tracks. There are no free tracks in that. But what I want to point out is every single one of those tracks is a common mainstay in a iRacing circuit track list for any kind of season that they do. So you'll see Barcelona pops up, Silverstone pops up, Zolder pops up, Imola always pops up. Even the ring, people go to the ring all the time in games. So by purchasing these tracks, if you're only new to iRacing, you haven't got many tracks, you will use these tracks 100% on the track. So
yeah, and look, the only change really is for the V's. The Skippies we've been doing hand-picked tracks for like I don't know 5 or 6 seasons now. And look, at the risk of sounding arrogant, it was suggested to me that Auzicar's kind of beyond free tracks anyway, and you know we want committed racers, and if you're going to race on iRacing regularly, like you said, you're gonna use all those tracks anyway. So yeah,
yep, definitely. Anyway,
I think they're going to provide much better. They're wider tracks, and you're going to be able to get your passing done way before corners, because some of the tracks we've raced on this year, the straights weren't really that long, and I think that's why people were doing a lot of too wide and stuff. So I think it'll make it better. I'm confident.
Any kind of thoughts on all that, Braden?
No, nothing specific. Definitely looking forward to going back to Nürburgring. I had good fun there last time, so hopefully I don't run into the back of Russell this time. Shout out to Russell. Sorry about that. And yeah, interested to see how the Red Bull Ring goes, because I really enjoy watching the racing at Red Bull Ring. Looks like a fun track to drive, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, and also especially like this is following, what'd you say, half of the tracks are part of the actual iRacing season, so the schedules, so the officials, so you know you're going to be racing these ones anyway, which is always good. Extra practice at stuff like that, helping people's iRating as well. Because
and with Dover, look, I realise people will have to buy that as well, but we'll probably run it for a couple of seasons before we move on, so I'll make sure we get a bit of value out of it.
Definitely. And also what this will help is Locked On Racing, so we'll be able to practice at most of those tracks together with the V's as well. So I look forward to running with a few of the V guys that I just don't get to run with at the moment because we're running different tracks. So definitely looking forward to that.
Well, I figured it just makes sense for everybody for practicing, and yeah.
No, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Ira. That is awesome. We can't wait to see what happens with the end of season 8 and season 1 of the Skips and the V's, but see how this all rolls out in season 2 and 9 in both of them respectively as well. So thank you for your time. Thanks for doing an awesome job, and we will catch you next time. We've got a big announcement to talk about. And thank you for that, Ira. Again, you're an absolute legend. Now, Braden, anything quick now he's not in the room? Do you want to talk about what you think?
Well, nothing that I wouldn't say to his face, you know. No, I mean, I'm excited. I've enjoyed the Grand Prix tracks this season. Well, I don't know if that's just because I've done better than maybe other seasons. Maybe being able to stick into people's drafts helped me out a little bit. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to heading back to some tracks I've driven before, like Nürburgring, and Imola's obviously been in the official series quite regularly. So it would be nice to not have to go bare bones into a track like I'm doing this week with Coda, which is if I don't have grey hair, I'll definitely will by the end of this week because I'm not enjoying that track whatsoever.
You're just lucky you got hair to turn grey, mate.
That's true. Shouldn't complain. Should be a good season as always, and hopefully we get lots of returning drivers, and we can maybe put on a battle towards another top 5 or maybe better. Who knows?
So I've got some questions here from our Discord. The first one is, how are you going to manage the new fuel regulations?
Yeah, probably not well. Not well. Yeah, definitely. I think Ira's taken a distaste to me being up so high and is just trying to implement things that puts me down the list. No. I think it's good. It'll definitely be intriguing. You just have to be smart with how much fuel you take on and when you take it. And I definitely like the idea of at least stopping people from pitting so early. It's just gotten a bit predictable, and anything that changes the racing and makes you have to think a little bit more is better.
Yeah, we're in the race, so us watching the replays and going, or the broadcast again and going, cool, those guys have pitted first, those guys haven't pitted yet, and watching and knowing the difference between them is really intriguing and really entertaining. But if you watched Monza on the week or last week without that experience and out that knowledge, you'd be going, why do they keep on cutting to these cars that are 35 seconds back? And why is it so important? What's going on here? And having those cars, they will be together. The pit window will shrink down to probably that. I'd say about the 15-minute window to the 23-minute window, 24-minute window. You'll have to pit somewhere in there. So for the first half of the race, you'll see everyone will be racing together, and for the last probably 7 or 8 minutes of the race, everyone will be racing together, which means you'll know where you are at any one point in time, which is really good. Makes closer racing, which is what we want to see. So very, very excited about it myself, especially because that will give me just that little bit extra chance to do something with it every now and then.
Yeah, you'll probably be able to finish the endurance races on your 1 tank of fuel.
God, I hope so. That'd be really good. We'll see how we go. But let's go on to the last piece of news for tonight, which is Ira Felberg has joined us again. Now, he was a big part of 111 eSport Racing, but now he has got some news for you. So let's go, Ira. And welcome, Ira, again. We have some more news to talk about with you on the podcast today. So we've just announced that you've left Team 111, and 111 is officially no longer. Is that right?
I'm not 100% sure on that, actually.
Okay, we don't know. We're not reporting on that just yet, but we are reporting that there's a brand new team in the world of iRacing, and you've brought it to the world, and it's called, you can announce it.
It's going to go under the name of ORT, Ozicar Racing Team.
So this is your own team that has spun out of, obviously, or sponsored by, I guess, like we're sponsored by our own podcast. You're going to be sponsored by your own league series. But so you're going to be, let us know, where are you racing to start with? What leagues?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, probably should go back and just explain 111.
Yeah, probably.
So, basically, long story short, that was or somebody else's team. Me and a couple of other guys been together actually for a long time, back to CMR days, which used to be a really big team, and we sort of stayed together. And a couple of the guy who owns the team, he sort of lost the passion a bit, stopped racing, and most of the other drivers sort of moved on, and there wasn't really a lot of sort of driving happening. And Aussie cars starting to really sort of like get traction, and I always kind of wanted my own team, but same thing, I was always patient about it. I thought no need to rush in it, and like be on a few teams first, which is what I've done. I've been on 3 sort of decent teams now, and over about 5 or 6 years or whatever it is. And so I thought I've learned to be, it's time for my own. I just felt it was time basically, and there wasn't a lot of racing happening there. So I thought it's time to form my own team. So it'll be sort of a league team, but a bit separate branding as well under the ORT, and it will carry league sponsors, but separate sponsors. There's not too many at the moment. Just Simfinity. He's staying on board. Steve, he was the owner of 111, so he's staying on as a series sponsor as well. So it was all amicable. Like, we're still mates. There's no issues there. He understands. He said it was inevitable. I'll probably get my own team. And then the only other sticker on there, I think, is the Locked On iRacing podcast. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at. And what classes will be running V's and Skippies mainly. And I've also got a driver, which I can probably announce now, that Stuart Crawford will be having a full crack at the Scops for the rest of the year, and then hopefully between now and then we'll find him a teammate to do the full season next year. He's raced them before, just in the race yesterday actually. Didn't quite make the grid, and then two cars pulled out. And he made the grid, and I just said to him, "Look, man, just do the old stay clean," and he finished 20th. So, and he hasn't driven them for a long time. So once he gets back in the groove and we get a teammate, that's something as a team owner, I've kind of had ambition. Not, we're not going to win the series, but it'd be nice to like have a car represented there in the top split or high up in the second. And then the other part of the team is we're going to do on most of the special events. A couple of other drivers have come on board and said to me, "Hey, I'm doing other things, but I would like to race special events." And one of those is Dennis Hancock, who you guys know. He's going to do like a couple of the GT, helping jump in the 12 hours. Also, Nick Scarab, who does comms for SimSpeed, and Jonathan Hancock from 247. Myself, and yeah, Stuart. That'll be we got 6 drivers there, so that'll be a 12-hour team. Well, you could do a 24-hour with 6, but I prefer to have a few more. So yeah, and then quickly back to the V's. I've got a bit of an exciting announcement there. Somehow I've managed to get a couple of good drivers for my main V team, and I can announce that Sean McKenzie and also Lee Partridge, who are currently 2 and 3 in the championship at the moment. They're going to be
buying
coming
up
on
all
board.
the big drivers. Look at this.
Yeah, they're going to be coming on board, and then Stewie and I will probably be teaming up. And the other person I've signed is Jackie Chalmers, who is a young
Scottish.
female driver from Scotland.
Yep.
And I thought she'd be good to have as a development driver, and she could probably use a bit of financial assistance on there. So yeah, Jackie's going to be representing our colours as well. And
so
then
not
Sean
quite as
and
many
I
drivers as the as Locked On, but getting there. You get there.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I'm not quite in your ballpark yet, but I need another 10 or 12 cars, I think.
That's it. You do.
But yeah, no, and just probably myself and Sean in the will be teaming up in the Skippies. Yeah, I think Stewie's probably just going to run V's and concentrate on Scops. Skippies might be a bit too
that's
much.
fair
So,
enough.
and we'll see. I'm pretty sure once the team gets up and going, there might be 1 or 2 other people out there who, want to jump on board. The other thing is, I've got my eye on a few drivers. I think with teams, drivers prefer to be invited rather than like put their hand up and say, "Yeah, I'll join," kind of thing. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited about it all. It's representing like a decent brand. We've actually got a couple of real, paying sponsors, and it's just a small start, but I'm pretty excited. And yeah, the paint will be released Thursday, but you guys have had a look at it already, and the drivers liked it, which is always because I painted the car myself, and I felt sick just about before I showed them, because it's the one thing you want them to be proud, because I know myself, like a good paint job is worth at least a couple of tenths, so and they all
the
loved
funny
it.
thing is, we Locked On with the V's. We had Cal put his team together, and I just went, Fernie and Vic, you guys need a paint job. I'll put one quickly. I'll throw it quickly together for you. Not thinking anything, and they've stuck with it all season, and now they're leading the V's.
They're leading the teams.
So we could end up getting a championship with the paint job that was literally thrown together last minute.
How awesome would that be? But I really I hope you guys get it. It'll be an interesting last round. Hopefully everyone
it's going to be
behaves.
nuts. I'm going to be nervous as hell watching it tomorrow night. So I can tell you that. But anyway, it does look awesome. I can't wait to see it. There's no green on there. So thank you, Ira, for doing that. Get rid of the green. Hashtag kill green. Anyway.
Yeah. We want the green walls, kind of like the Berlin Wall, just like fully tear it apart.
No, it's
I
really
decided,
good. So,
well, Ozicar, red, white, and blue. it looks striking, and the navy blue I've been using on Ozicar a fair bit, so that's kind of where that came from.
Yep, it'll be good. Everyone will love it. So definitely good luck. I'm sad you turned down our massive offer we threw at you, but congratulations on making your own team. And
I told you,
we
you
look
can't
forward to.
afford me.
I know we can't afford you. We tried. We threw everything we could. I
Nah,
found $2 on
nah.
the
Look,
ground. I thought that was going to be enough. But anyway,
the more teams, the better. That's the other
that's
thing,
it.
you know.
Yep. No, definitely. Good luck, and I can't wait to race against you. Thank you again, mate. See ya. So, Braden, are you excited about racing alongside something other than green cars?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have another team to battle with. Obviously, Ira was able to resist the temptation of coming and joining Locked On, but it's good to see him get up his own team. And I know one thing that he has a real passion for is developing and coaching drivers, and seeing people become better racers themselves. And I think with his own team, being able to take some less experienced drivers under his wing will be something he'll really enjoy, and that's what I'm really happy for him for.
We'll have to see if there's any kind of strategic alliance formed between Locked On and Ozicar Racing Team. We'll never know. So look, it'll give me someone to battle further down the pack, other than white cars, which happened last week. So, look, very excited about it. And congratulations, good luck. And if you want to join, definitely don't join Ozicar Racing Team. Join Locked On Racing. Let us know. But that'd be great. Let's move on to the results, which this week's brought to you by our Discord. You want to join our Discord, lockedonlads.com/Discord is the place to do that. It's really good fun. Check out what people are cooking, what people are playing. And the funniest thing that's popped up this week, and a shout out to Lachlan Mansell, who's in Beauty and the Geek. There's a whole Beauty and the Geek chat channel popped up out of nowhere that I have no idea what it's going on about, but the boys in there are having a bit of a chat about it. So, definitely come in and check out what's going on in the Discord. But let's go to the results, mate. Where do you want to start? Formula V's?
Yeah, we'll start with the V's. It was another pretty crazy night of racing, I guess you could say. I'm not sure if you managed to catch up on the broadcast, but it was just,
I got to watch race 1, and that was as far as I got before all hell hit the track for me. But yeah, there was. I love the part in the race where because Jay Kennedy, Sim Speed, had decided this week, instead of doing the Zoom call, he was going to do the second BC and do the replay. And he's showing the replay of a big crash, and then on the main screen, an actual real crash, a big crash happens. So it's like, where do I watch? What's going on?
It was pretty intense. At one point, there was 15 cars in the lead pack following each other, like through the very short, quick, non-braking areas of Lime Rock Park, which is pretty much the whole thing. But yeah, in the end, race 1 was able to be taken out by Chris Noble, so he picks up his second win for the season, if I'm not mistaken. From Mikey Harlan, Daniel Hederscheid, rather. Kirk Broadhurst, Mitch Dean, Stuart Crawford, Max Donnelly, Cameron Dance down in 8th, Nathan Verney, and Jamie Skeller on debut, getting a top 10. And obviously there was some massive moves again. I feel like this name is a person we keep talking about pretty consistently with the big movers. So if he can get his qualifying right, we'll be right up there. So Max Donnelly came from 21st to 7th.
Yeah.
Verney 16th to 9th. Neil Yates 26th to 11th.
Can I mention Verney's 9th was with a chaotic incident on the last turn, which dropped him probably from, I think it was 5th. He was sitting in back down to 9th there.
It was, yeah.
Unfortunately.
He did pick up fastest lap of the race, which is unfortunately not worth any points in race 1, if I'm correct. Or is that right? Or is it not worth any points ever? I can't remember.
I can't remember. Stuart Crawford, 17th up to 6th, which we just heard before, has got his own new team now.
Actually, I should, before I continue, I should mention as well that Verney was actually technically 8th spot, because Cameron Dance, although he finished in 8th, got a 30-second time penalty. Yes, so he fell right down the field.
Shout out to Paul Jackson, 29th up to 13th. Did you just mention that one? But Matthew Joy, 28th up to 15th, which technically would be probably about 14th, I'd say, with the penalty in there. It's a very good effort from Locked On Racing Zone. But Paul Ward's in there as well, 31st up to 16th. There's some really good movers. Obviously, people who stay clean, didn't get involved in the incidents, like our very own Vic Ben Feltzen. but everyone else, very, very good racing. But let's
Absolutely.
go on to race 2, which I didn't get to watch. So what happened? The finish looks amazing.
Yeah, so it was another pretty hectic race. It was a little bit more calm, but still some silly mistakes going on. There was a couple of people merging into each other on the straight, and a couple of not so good re-entries. But overall, the racing did improve, which was nice. And yeah, another really, really close finish for the top 3, with Cameron Dance taking the win by 20 thousandths of a second, or I guess 200ths
Two
of a
100ths
second.
of a second. Yeah.
And Ray Oliver just a 10th back from the leader as well. So the top 3 all split by 0.113, which was pretty close. And I guess just kicked off the close racing for the week of Ozicar as it continued into the Skip Barber racing. But yeah, so Cameron Dance, Lee Partridge, Ray Oliver, rounding out your podium, from Chris Noble, Russ Green, Stuart Crawford, Kirk Broadhurst, Daniel Heddershide, Sean McKenzie, and Mitch Dean, rounding out your top 10. Although, having said that, Ray Oliver did actually lose his spot on the podium due to a 30-second time penalty for an incident as well. So it actually bumped Chris Noble up into 3rd spot.
Yeah, good result for a round for him, for sure. So Paul Jackson, 31st up to 14th or 13th after the penalty. Very good effort there. Our very own Nathan Verney, 27th up to 19th, not too bad. The big ones were in that top 10, so 24th and 26th for Daniel Heddershide and Kirk Broadhurst, respectively, up to what ended up being 6th and 7th.
Yep.
And even Russ Green, 17th into 4th, is really good. The one I want to shout out, though, Jamie Skeller on debut, qualified 25th, gets the fastest lap of the race, and then finishes 18 laps down from the eventual winner in 28th position. So
Yeah.
if he had got his qualifying all right, wow, that would have been a much better performance result for Jamie Skeller.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, yeah, the not the best way to do it when you don't get a lap in, or you don't get an official lap in for qualifying, really hurts you. But
Definitely.
well done to everyone involved in that. Hopefully, with round 6 coming up tomorrow night, or by the time you hear this tonight, we see some slightly better racing as far as cars staying on the track, and leading into next season, when we probably get some even better stuff with just slightly higher bar of entry that people are going to have to jump over to get in. So
I guess that takes us to the championship points.
yeah,
So
exciting stuff here.
Cameron Dance has a pretty strong hold over Lee Partridge now in 2nd. I think that's, what do we got, 29 points, who's 17 points clear of Sean McKenzie now in 3rd. So the top 3 are looking like they might be sealed up, with Daniel Heddershide 41 points back from Sean. So it's going to be really tricky to get into that 3rd spot now. But as you know, anything can happen, and especially in these Vs at the moment, it wouldn't take much to have 2 bad races. Kirk Broadhurst 5th, Alex McKellar in 6th. Unfortunately, hasn't returned after round 4, so missed the last round. Mitch Dean 7th, Dennis Hancock and Paul Jackson tied in 8th, and then Stuart Crawford and our very own Nathan Verney tied for 10th.
Yep. I'm still trying to find it. I've got to go all the way back up here, but really good effort to all those involved. It's going to be very interesting last round. Obviously the big thing is we've got the road to 2K, which, as we've said before, Lee Partridge has won. There's no question about that. But we've got Dennis Hancock and Paul Jackson equal 2nd on 300 points apiece. So that will be decided tomorrow night, or it may not be decided. We may still have a dead heat. Jackie Chalmers doing a great job from over in Scotland in 4th, but really needs an accident from one of those to get in there and get a win. But if she's got a chance, and so does Vic Benfeldson in 5th and Max Donnelly in 6th, not far behind that. So those last few points will be the key. The one that surprises me and shocks me, now I say that with the most amount of love for these guys, we go into the team points, and for the life of me, I can't work out how this has happened. Locked On iRacing Interviews is sitting there in 1st place for 557 points. These two literally took themselves out 2 weeks ago at Tsukuba.
They were just trying to make it fair for everyone, Pete. They didn't want to win the team's championship by too much, you see.
Well, apparently so. No, congratulations, Nathan Verney and Vic Stelzen, for going into the final round with a 13-point buffer over Chicken Up Racing, Martin Turner and Mitch Dean. Top Split Racing, which hasn't raced for a couple of weeks, is still sitting in third. But obviously, Into Sim Esports has got a really good chance of jumping up into third there from fourth position if Alex and Alex don't turn up, which I assume they probably aren't at this stage, focusing on Skip Barber. Team 111 for the final time together, Stuart Crawford and Ira Felberg, although I don't think they're running those colours for the last round. Have got a very good chance of third as well, to be honest. But then Locked On Black Sheep Racing 457 is probably a little bit out of the run, but had a very good effort to be beating home White Knuckle Racing, Sean Doyle and Dennis Hancock, probably because Sean Doyle hasn't raced it for a couple of weeks now. And then Locked On iRacing News and Results, Matthew Joy and Callum Heinrich on debut, sitting there in eighth ahead of Jackie Chalmers, who's now joining 111. No, Ozicar Racing Team, Ray Oliver for JP Simshed and Max Donnelly's own New Zealand Sim Racing there in last position, but a single team entry. So so much to watch tomorrow night. I can't wait. And super nervous going in. I can't believe that the two guys are sitting there. Like you watch that season, I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it's great to see those guys up the top, and it'll be interesting to see if they can hold on. I noticed there was some practice going on in the Discord before, so I'm not sure if they were practicing V's or if they were practicing skips, but I did see some people in there, so hopefully they're working on that for the final round, which would be really good to see if we can get a team up there for the win in the team's championship.
You're right. I think I've just announced stuff I shouldn't have, but if you listen to this, don't worry about it. By then, he probably hopefully will have announced it. If not, bad luck. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's move on to let's quickly. We're in a roll, so we're going to go through to. Let's just go Aussie Skip Barber.
Yep.
And we went to Monza. Had two really good races. Let's talk about the first one, which on paper here is a dead heat. There's nothing between the two drivers. So Ben Snell and Alex McKellar, technically Ben Snell wins. I guess it goes down to a thousand, like less than a thousandth of a second to decide that. But the interval on the sheet is literally nothing. So congratulations, Ben Snell, I guess. But as we mentioned before, the top six: Ben Snell, Alex McKellar, James Chatsanoff, Russell Clark, yourself, Braden Martin, which is Donald Sabanel, all within 0.876 of a second as they cross the line.
Very close. And it was crazy because not only was Ben and Alex a dead heat, 000s, but also Chastanoff back to Russell Clark was 0.002 of a second as well. So it's just insane how close that race ended up being.
And then you even go down to the fact that Ben Snell led for 2 laps. Alex McKellar led for 2 laps. James Chestanoff led for 2 laps over a 6-lap race. It was just back and forth the whole way around. Great pack racing. Great stuff. Like there's 4 major spots on that track. You've got to really stay with the other team or the other drivers. And everyone was able to do that for 24 occasions across the 6 laps. So congratulations to you all for doing that. Matthew Mites came into 7th, just under 4 seconds behind the pack. Sean Doyle then back in 8th, and a little bit of a gap to Ashley Knowles in 9th, and Nathan Verney very, very close. I think that's 7 thousandths of a second back behind Ashley Knowles in 10th.
And although Matthew Mites finished basically 4 seconds behind the lead pack, he was actually right with us up until the second to last lap when there was a bit of a checkup going into Ascari and he dropped off the back and lost the draft. So it was very close to being a 7-car finish as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well done. Big movers, Jamie Willits, 24th up to 11th, 18th for Craig Kerman up into 12th. Dennis Hancock, 20th up to 13th, which is pretty much secured him the road to 2K, but we'll get to that in a moment. But they're the main movers that I can see. So then let's go on to race 2. Race 2 was just as intriguing, but for all different reasons. We finally see the old master Russell Clark, not spinning out
Russell
for
Clark the third.
the third. Yes, so no spins this week, and that meant he actually won the race by 1.5 seconds. So superior pit strategy, stayed out ahead of everyone else and was able to manage the cold tyres a little bit better than his teammate in Don Sabanel. But it was very interesting on the broadcast. Obviously, two Team Milo cars racing together, two Top Split cars racing together, two Locked On cars racing together, and that was what was going to be the top six, except for Lee Harrison threw himself in there as well. So well done to Lee, obviously, for holding on. But well done to all three teams for racing so well together to bring such a close finish. So obviously your pit stop wasn't as good. Your pit
Yeah.
crew need a bit of talking to.
No, it was my fault. I overshot the pit bay, so I had to
Is
chuck
that
it in
what it was?
reverse, and obviously cost me a bit of time, which meant I lost the draft to Nathan.
Yep.
And when we were working together, so yeah,
And
it was a
then
little
you
bit
really fucked your
disappointing.
car up.
And yeah, and then last lap, obviously decided to try and turn my car into a monster truck. And yeah, decided to ruin it. So I ended up 11 seconds off. I was basically with Nathan the whole race. So a bit of a shame. It could have been a sort of 6th or 7th. I think if I had have came out with Nathan, I don't think Chastity probably would have caught us.
No.
Because we would have been able to work together a bit more. I sort of left him out to dry a little bit. But yeah, not to worry.
Yeah, all good. Russell Clark first, Alex John second, Alex McKellar third, Lee Harrison fourth. Very good drive from ninth. Donald Sabanel in fifth, Nathan Verney in sixth, James Chastanoff seventh, yourself in eighth, Brady Baldwin with a very bent front nose in ninth, and Sean McKenzie in 10th. So that was your top 10. There's some movers there. Jamie Willits again, 18th to 12th, I guess. Dennis
Yourself,
Hancock, 13th to 11th.
12th,
We don't want to talk
23rd,
about
23rd up to 16th for Peter, and 25th up to 17th for Ira.
Yeah, and even Brady Baldwin there, 16th up to 9th is that seven jump is always good. When look, everyone bar the last three finished, or last four finished on the lead lap. And it was only Simon Domnall was only one lap down, so it wasn't like he was far off it. So
yeah, and obviously we could quickly touch base on Matthew Mart's unlucky incident. It was a shame to see him get taken out. There was a bit of a crash between Sean Doyle and who was it?
Ashley Knowles.
Ashley Knowles, that's right. And basically their cars sort of got locked together, and when it sort of spun, it almost like slingshotted Sean back across the middle of the road and straight in front of Matthew. Didn't really have anywhere he could go, unfortunately. So
ripped
unlucky
off his
for
front left tire. So yeah, once again, two bad races in a row, which sort of hurts the team points. But yeah, we'll get on to that in a moment. So let's go to the championship table. Which do you want to start with that while I try and get it going?
Sure. So Alex McKellar has taken a pretty commanding lead again. Or continued, I suppose. He's 43 points clear of Russell Clark. So barring a complete and utter disaster by one, maybe not turning up, or somehow basically scoring next to minimal points in the next round, he will take home his first Aussie car title. Russell Clark.
We have seen it happen. Like Ben Snell didn't make the end of that race, lost 20 odd points.
That's right. Russell Clark second, 2 points now ahead of Ben Snell in third. Back to, what do we got? 28 points back to myself in fourth, and then Chastity a further 16 points behind me for fifth. So 2 locked on cars in the top 5 is a positive result. I think if we had said that at the start of the season, we would have taken that.
We'd be stoked. Yep, definitely 3 in the top 10 with Nathan Verney sitting there at 344.
Yeah, so
with the big competition for him being another locked on car in 11th. So, you know, we've locked 3 in the top 10 is always a good effort.
Yeah, so Donald, Sabanel, Dennis Hancock, Sean McKenzie, Alex John, and as you said, Nathan Verney round out the top 10. The road to 2K is being led by Dennis Hancock, who's got a pretty commanding lead over Brady Baldwin, and then yourself holding on to third place. So you might be getting a trophy before I get a trophy, Peter.
Yeah, we'll see. There's 11 points there between me and Farron. Look, what can I say? I'll just if I do my race and just not make the stupid mistakes I've been making, then that's what I've got to do. That's what I've got to get there. So I'm looking at I've just confused because I'm looking at the numbers next to the positions, and we go down to 5th, Ashley Knowles, then we go to 8th, Craig Kerman, and then 9th, Tim Court, and then 6th, David Summers, and 7th, Darren Lassou.
And then 11th, and then 10th. It's a bit all over the place.
Yeah, that's not actually what it is. But that's what was doing my head in. I wasn't trying to sound all super serious and stuff like that. No, look, if I don't make any mistakes, I can at Coda, should be right.
Yeah,
but we all go back to USA Speedway, and one mistake changes everything. So I'll let Brady Baldwin in there, but I'm still hoping that Brady can sort of make a mistake, and we can have a battle for second. But yeah, Dennis has got that one, unfortunately. But let's go on to the teams where Top Split Racing is very close. It's 8 points ahead of Van Diemen Racing, which is so that's the two Alexes ahead of Donald Sabinol and Russell Clark. You guys have snuck in there in third. That's Braden and Nathan in the news and results. Locked on iRacing news and results at 7:57, which is a good chunk of points ahead of the interviews podcast, which is Chastanoff and Mites. Now, obviously, they've been struck with issues the last couple of races, and obviously that first race of the season. So, look, anything can happen, but look, have third and fourth in the championship. Yeah, I'm not going to say second. We're not going to get second. Third and fourth in the championship, pretty well locked down. It's a pretty good effort for the team. So well done, everyone there. So White Knuckle Racing in 5th. The old Noodle Squad is coming in 6th, and then myself and Tim, Tim missed around. So
shout out to Noodle Squad, because I've just noticed that obviously Ira does listen to the podcast, because he must have heard us laugh about the fact that it said Noodle Squad and not Noodle Squad, and it's been changed. So shout out to you, Ira, for listening.
Yeah, that's it. Well done, our one listener. Well done, everyone. So the Man Cave podcast, it's in 7th. Black Sheep Racing, the locked on version of it, is only 10 points behind us in 8th. So there's a little bit of a thing there. So we'll have to keep Jeremy off Tim's toes and make sure Tim actually has a solid race. Missed Apex Racing in 9th, Rookie Racing in 10th, 11th sees First 11 Racing, White Knuckle Racing version 2 is down in 12th, 111 Esports is in 13th, but I think Ira's holding the charge there alone, and then there's a few other, high octane, KP Tech and TBNZ are all floating down there for the remainder. But that's Ozicar Skip Barber, so let's quickly move on to Scraps. I'll quickly run through that. Since I was involved in it, and then we'll move on to a few pre-recorded things for you before we head off. But Brady Borlos took out the win at New Hampshire. Matt Danson in second. Justin Howe, well done on the drive to sit in third. It was amazing sitting there in voice with him as he sort of slowly tried to break people like Jason Martin, of all people. He also came from 9th to get third as well, but put on an absolutely stellar drive to get on the podium there.
Am I correct in saying he also made you then sit through the replay in Discord the next day to talk about how he got third, or did I jump in the wrong part of the conversation that day?
There's 3 days in a row now I've had to rewatch Justin Howe's replay just to learn how good he was. So no, it was a very good effort. Like I said, he was extremely proud of himself to be able to break Jason Martin.
So should.
Yeah. And drop that draft. So Jaden Russell in 5th. Simon Mazzomo from 14th up to 6th. Well done there. Matty Jones in 7th. Daniel Yeaman in 8th. Ryan Jones somehow cut to 9th. He did a really good effort from going from 4th on the grid back to 9th. That's personal best for him, I think. Darren McKenzie started 10th, finished 10th. So well done, all those involved. But let us go to the other oval series, which I really do want to get into. But anyway, we'll see if I can get my schedules around. But ANZCAR, so take it away, Carl. Give us a wrap on what happened in ANZCAR in the last week.
Hello chaps and chapettes, and welcome to the ANZCAR wrap-up. I'm Carl Withy, and tonight, as ever, we're starting off with the Truck Series. Season 2, round number 10, saw us at Martinsville Speedway. 34 drivers would compete at the tricky concrete half-mile oval, and 455 laps of green stint would come to an end for ANZCAR. It was a Mitch lockout at the front, with Micklemore on pole and his teammate Martin in second. We would make it 12 laps before the yellow fell, and would appear 10 more times in the evening. Despite the cautions, we saw some great on-track action. But the top three were untouchable, with Micklemore taking out the win, Martin second, and Foster bringing it home third. Joshua Carroll-Walden would get fourth, and Skurlock would come across the line in P5. The championship remained the same, but the gap closed at the front. Foster in the lead with 394 points. Second, Martin, 24 points off the lead. Third, 26 points down, is Josh Micklemore. Fourth, we have Nathan Clark. Fifth, Raymond. Sixth, Norman Clark. Seventh, Finley. Eighth, Wellman. Ninth, Robbie. And 10th for Schultz. The trucks will be back next week at Rockingham. Next, we move to the Xfinity Series with the Wednesday Night Thunder. New Hampshire would host round 9 of the series and would see Foster taking pole, followed closely by Hobson. The race did not have the cleanest of starts, with a couple of early incidents, but once everything settled in, we saw some good long green stint action, with the top 5 battling it all night long, a mix of tyre saving and track position being key. Everybody taking their turn in the lead. A caution came out just at the wrong time for some, as they were just starting to cycle their green flag stops. However, the caution thrown gave the leaders the opportunity, the chance to pit under yellow. The final 72 laps were run under the green flag, and we saw some good runs from the pack, with racing throughout the field. In the end, it was Josh Micklemore taking the flag for his second win of the week. Second was Gallagher, third for Hobson, fourth for Foster, fifth for Skurlock. Gallagher remains in the lead of the championship with 412 points. Second is Phelps, 47 off the lead. Third is Micklemore, 63 points down. Fourth we have Hobson. Fifth is Norman Clark. Sixth Donnelly. Seventh Raymond. Eighth Davidson. Ninth Hunter. And 10th is Finley. Thunder returns next week at Fontana for a race at the Auto Club Speedway. Next up, the Cup would roll into New Hampshire and see a tough race for round 21 of the series. Martin would take pole next to Neil Pearson. The tricky Magic Mile would catch its fair share of drivers out. After 13 laps of green flag, the caution would fall, and we would see it come out 7 more times in the evening. But between yellows, the racing was hot. A late caution would bring out a green-white checker, which would see the 035 take out his first victory in the Cup Series, along with his debut in the Cup Series, Mr. Daniel Heddersheed, proving he was a worthy signing for Natari Autosport by taking the win. Second place was Dyson, third for Gallagher, fourth for Pearson, Josh Micklemore in fifth. Micklemore remains in the lead of the regular season championship on 788 points. Second, Gallagher 60 points down. Third, Skurlock 73 off the lead. Fourth is Martin. Fifth is Danny G. Sixth is Pearson. Seventh for Foster. Eighth for Dyson. Ninth for Raymond. And Trahair in 10th. Next week, we will have a well-deserved rest for the Cup drivers, having an off week, but we will be back after that. As always, if you want to catch the ANZCAR action in full, come join us on FGM eCast, your place for e-pace, and a big thank you to Locked On iRacing and Locked On Lads for bringing you all the best in Aussie sim racing action. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much for that, Carl. And let's go on to the really, really big event that happened in the last week. We've talked about so much racing, but SCOPS happened again. And for the next couple of weeks, SCOPS is happening almost every week, which is really exciting. So really good effort. They all went to Alton Park this weekend, but instead of hearing me drag on about how good the V8s were at Alton Park and how many controversies and how many crashes there were, let's listen to our mate Jay Kennedy describe all the action. So take it away, Jay. And welcome, Jay. How are you today, mate?
I'm absolutely fantastic, mate. Thank you for having me along. It's been a little while trying to get me on, and finally done it.
Mate, I did that thing where I threw to you when you weren't there. Like, we've done it. You've been on the podcast, but you just didn't turn up. So
Yeah,
thank you, Cam Dance, for filling in that day.
Thanks
He's
to
an absolute
Cam for being the
legend.
pretend Jay Kennedy.
Yeah, look, he did a far better job than the normal one anyway.
Very
but
true.
Look, we're here to talk about SCOPS, and it happened again on Monday night. The V8s went to Alton Park, and a track that I must say I don't like too much for lack of overtaking. But how did we go in the Super Split 2 on Monday night?
Yeah, it was a controversial weekend of V8 SCOPS racing with Brian Borg
That doesn't sound right.
Brian Borg and Bradley Vaughan both blitzing away at the front of the field before they made contact with a couple of laps to go, ending both of their nights. And Logan Barnett did a bit of a Bradbury, stole the win away, and made himself go through into top split. So Logan
Yeah, I
Barnett's
see
first appearance in top split.
Brian had led 22 of the 24 laps of the race, unfortunately. But he only ended up 8 seconds down. Though, how devastating would that be, though? Has Brian got into Scops before and into the top split?
Yeah, he used to run in top split quite a bit, but
So there you go.
hasn't
So it's not
hasn't quite had the form that he once did, or the talent is probably improved a little bit more than Brian's been able to, considering he's been around for quite a long time.
But yeah, definitely had the quickest lap in the race as well. But yeah, it was good to see an extra person up there though in Logan taking it out. But so what did the Shields report say from that, or was it just a racing incident in the end?
There was a penalty that did come from that one for Bradley as well. So, and to make it worse, he was the one that ended up the worst out of the contact as well, facing the wrong way, stuck in the middle of the track at the second to last corner. So he almost got cleaned up by a couple of cars as they come through as well. But we also had a couple of safety cars throughout that race as well. So there's a fair bit of carnage in split 2, but it was a very, very good race. And to see Logan Barnett finally pick up a win. Sean McNamara in second and Ben Christensen third. Those guys all had a very, very good run. But yeah, it's always disappointing when the guy that has the most pace doesn't get the win. But just means that next time, Brian Borg will have to work a little bit harder. Yeah, exactly. A bit more hungry.
That's it. I see Justin Wallace there, 19th up to 7, was obviously had some good racing, but obviously a few people must have gone out in front of him. And Jamie McKnight, as always, with pace, 18th up to 9th as well. And just behind him, Stephen. How do you do that one?
Kokoschki?
Yes, 20th up to 10th as well. Some good little moves there.
Yeah, some big movers throughout the field
as well. 30th up to 14th. Well done to him.
Yeah, there's a lot of movers through the field. As you said before, it is a tough track to pass, but if you can work yourself through that long sweeping corner at turn 4 before the hairpin, we're seeing a lot of moves there. There's a lot of contact at that spot too, which was where the first safety or one of the safety cars came out from, and we'll talk about it in a second. The top split, there was a fair bit of controversy at that corner as well, but Logan Barnett obviously picking up the win, got himself in a top split for the first time ever, became the 447th driver to make top split.
Wow. That is a good number. I didn't realize it was that high. I thought it was about 420 something last I saw, but that's a significant number. Well done. So let's move on to top split race 1, where if you look at it, the top 3, top 4 is a pretty standard top 3, top 4. But as you said, controversy. So walk us through what happened there to see Madison end up winning the race.
Yeah, so Jordan Caruso picked up the pole for race 1. He was absolutely blitzing in qualifying. It's turn 1, lap 1, side by side, bit of door-to-door contact, resulting in Jordan Caruso hitting the wall at the exit of turn 1. And then from there, Madison Down led the way, but struggled a little bit with pace later on in the race. And Ethan Warren was starting to close up on him quite a lot. Cooper Webster in third, Andrew Gilliam in fourth. But you look at the results, it doesn't tell the true picture of who was fast and who wasn't. But Dylan Rudd was a really, really good mover through the field. He picked up like 16 or 17 positions and finished in 15th. He was a real star driver of the day.
He did too, yeah. Starting 32nd.
Yeah, Ethan Warren, though, his form over the last few weeks has been absolutely incredible and really starting to come out of his brother's shadows. You know, we've always seen Dane be really strong and Ethan sort of been in his shadows. Well, at the moment, Ethan is surpassing Dane because he's doing dominant drives throughout V8 Scops and, of course, won at Watkins Glen last round and a second in race 1 this week.
Yeah, definitely good stuff. And obviously a little bit to play for now with the announcement of the E-Series during the week. These guys are obviously eyeing off a few things that could be coming up down the track and wanting to impress. But look, as you said, Dylan Rudd, big moves there. Also, Emily Jones, as always, 18th up to 10th. Adam Briggs, 15th up to 8th. Some really good stuff there as well. But let's move on to race 2. What happened in race 2? Wrap it up for me, mate.
Yeah, controversy is what's happened in race 2. Absolute
Alton
controversy.
Park and controversy. I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, so again, first and second on the grid, same 2 drivers, Madison Down and Jordan Caruso. They made it to turn 5 to the hairpin this time. Door-to-door contact once again, but Madison Down ended up in the wall, dropped him way back in the field to 17th or so. So he did drop long, long way back from that contact. From that as well, Andrew Gilliam took the lead of the race. He and Jordan Caruso first and second for quite a long time. And then there was more controversy at the same corner when Andrew Gilliam got a little shove from the car of Jordan Caruso. Meant that Ethan Warren stormed through and stole another win, back-to-back wins for Ethan Warren. James Scott also coming home in second after contact between Richard Hampstead and Cooper Webster. James Scott just stormed on through it and stole second position away, but Andrew Gilliam left absolutely heartbroken after what would have been his third win, his first win of this year, but his third win overall after winning both races at Mosport last year, and has to settle for fourth position, unfortunately. But Madison Down, after winning race one, highest he could get back to was 17th. He had a really off second race because we actually saw him make mistakes, which is something very, very rare you see from Madison Down. He spun it a couple of times, had a really good battle with Jack Boyd for quite a lot of that second race, but ultimately couldn't get past him as well.
Yeah, definitely. So we've also got Jake Maloney there, 35th up to 15th, 20 spots. That's a magnificent effort there. And we're looking 17th, 17 up to 11th for Adam Briggs, and Jack Boyd, as you mentioned before, 19th up to 13th. So it's really good moves through the pack there. Have you got a championship table update there by any chance?
I do. Not? Madison Down is leading the championship, but I don't have it up on the screen. I'm going to get it up right now so it makes it look like I know what I'm talking about.
Well, he's still there. That's pretty good. I'll keep on going while we're getting that going. But where's the next race as well? When are we getting onto the Enduros? That's what I'm really keen for.
Enduros are in 4 weeks' time, but our next race we're actually doing back-to-back rounds. So this weekend, we're back again. We're at Belle Isle this weekend for the next round of the championship, which...
Oh, that's going to be carnage.
We had joined the schedule a little while ago now, a couple of years ago now, and it's been one of the most entertaining rounds we've had. We've always done that race a little bit differently as well. So looking forward to that this weekend. And then straight after that, we go back-to-back, well, 2 weekends apart for Imola and Phillip Island, and then a 3-week break before we're into Bathurst.
That's all happening.
We've also already got a wild card confirmed for Bathurst, which we'll talk about another time. But we've got an international team coming in for the Bathurst 1000, which will be cool.
That's handy to know.
But yeah, championship-wise, Madison Down still leads. He's got now 190 points on Richard Hampstead. Josh Anderson in third, Brady Myers in fourth. But we also did have some drop round championship points as well, which sort of showed a bit more of a truer picture with Brady Myers up a bit higher. Brady Myers was probably one of the names that you look at and go, where was he in the results? He had an absolute shocker. If you could have had a worse night, you couldn't have had one worse than what Brady had this week. So he's
there you go.
A long way back.
36th, finished 33rd, 23 laps down.
Yep. So with the qualifying format, it was you needed to complete your 2 laps, and your second fastest lap was your grid spot for race 2.
Really? Yep.
He didn't get a lap in. He only completed one flying lap throughout the night and had to start last. And Jake Maloney only did one valid proper lap time, so his secondary lap time was basically an out lap, which put him 35th on the grid, which was why he had that big move through the field. But Brady Myers got caught in the huge crash that we had at the start of race 2, which brought out our safety car. And I think it caught about 8 or 10 cars victim in that one, which happened at the same time as Madison Down getting put in the wall as well. But the likes of Thomas Hinds was involved in that one.
Yep. Damien Johnston, I assume? Or no?
Yep, Damien Johnston was in
Aaron
it as well.
Dodd.
Yep, exactly. Geordie Sinney.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a pretty entertaining night. If you haven't watched it, it's definitely worth a watch. It was a very, very cool night of racing. And as I said before, it is tough to pass, but I think that made it a little bit more exciting because when you saw someone actually plan a move and get a move done, there was a lot of smarts to it, which was cool to watch.
That is the one upside of Alton Park, and that's why I'm no good there because I just can't set those passes up. But
100%
you can definitely, there's the 2 big spots, obviously, the last turn and then the hairpin, 2 very good spots. So yeah, definitely good to watch and good to see, and I will actually catch up on the replay at some stages. But as you said, we've got more action happening this weekend, so hopefully everyone get ready for Belle Isle, and we'll see if Madison can bounce back after a disappointing second race, but a very good first race. So and see if Jordan Caruso can stop hitting people. That'd be good.
Yeah, well, if Hugh Madison can stop having the magnets between them where their doors want to keep touching, be good to
poor
see them
Jordan,
actually have a battle.
It was Watkins Glen, he blew his engine, and now this time he's had these two incidences, so he's just got to get back on there. Hopefully he'll get right back in there. I'll get Altus going. Give the guys a fight again, which is what we want to see. But anyway, thank you so much for your time, Jay.
My pleasure.
We will probably catch up with you fairly soon, and we'll end up getting you on the podcast eventually. We say your name enough in episodes, so we'll end up getting you on.
I got told I was blacklisted.
Yeah, we tell a lot of people that, but they don't listen to us. They still come on the podcast, so nothing I can do about it. Anyway, thank you so much, mate. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, mate.
And thanks for that, Jay. You're an absolute legend. Hopefully we talk to you again next week and we have a bit more of a roundup on SCOPS again. So, look, I wanted to touch on Into Sim Esports Network Change Up Series. I just didn't get a chance to follow that one up. I've got to get Aiden on and have a bit of a chat to him, see where it's at. But also the other thing is that they're broadcasting now is the Australasian Supercars E-Series, which is the V8s there going around ovals. So, but we won't have time for that either. I could have missed the boat on that one as well. But definitely go check out both of those guys on Facebook. The racing series are really good. Definitely go join them if you're keen. But the final thing I want to talk about, we haven't got Alex McKellar this week. Unfortunately, schedules were just a little bit too conflicted and a little bit too busy this week. So, Braden, mate, take away Sunday Night Lights. What happened in Top Split?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I wasn't in there myself, so I couldn't give you a first-hand recollection this week. But obviously, we were at Road Atlanta, which was pretty good, and it's another very, very close race in the Sunday Night Lights. Some big movers, and some big names returning as well. So it was really cool to see Dennis Johansson. If anyone hasn't watched his streams, Race Driver 77, pretty prolific Skippy driver as well. So he was back. Hakan Grebstad and some of the other names that you would definitely know, but also some different names we haven't seen for a little while, which was really good to see. It was a 4,405 strength of field this week. So another pretty big effort from everyone to get out and have the best drivers in the world going around in the skips. Danny Blanco started from 6th this week and took out the win. So got a win for the Sunday Night Lights. Ollie Peacock, who started from pole, came second. And then regular Julian O'Fray, starting from 4th, managed to get himself up to 3rd, with Dennis Johansson starting 12th to finish 4th. In that kind of field is a pretty massive effort. Lagwagidi 5th, Hakan Grebstad 6th, Giuseppe Tellini 7th, Gael Kawabe, George Maddock, Corey Lean, the first of the ANZ drivers, managing a 10th spot from Ozicar's very own Donald Sabanel, who started 15th and managed to fight his way up to 12th. Ross Varui, Nathan Wade, Pablo Salvador, Danny Carvajal, Danielle Forgiarini, and Xavier Sanchez rounding out the big field. But there are some new names that haven't been in the series on SNL for a little while there, as well as some returning ones and some really, really quality drivers.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And that wraps up most of all the results for this week. I just want to do a quick shout out. If you are wanting your league featured in our results, hit me up on the Discord, lockedonlads.com/Discord. Get in the Discord for starters. Hit me up in a DM or hit us up on Facebook, Locked On Lads. We are happy to send someone over to record a thing with you each week. Or if you want to record your own thing, we'll go through and show you how to do it and get you in there. We are slowly heading, and I'm looking at this episode this week and how big the news and the results sections are. We may have to end up splitting these up again, like we've already split up the podcast once before. But that is one of the key things we need to do to be able to do that. So we need all of your help to be able to get our results section covering as much of the Australian and New Zealand iRacing series as we can get. And if you're an international one and you want to get in there as well, hit us up. I'm happy to help and work with anyone out there. So definitely, if you are interested, let me know. It doesn't cost you a thing, just a little bit of time, about 5 minutes a week. If that's all we really need. So thank you everyone who is supporting us already. And like I said, like you've seen on our YouTube videos, we put up those leagues that are helping us out up on the the banner, so you do get a bit of coverage as well out of it. But thank you mainly ANZCAR, Alex McKellar over at Sunday Night Lights. Into sim racing when we can get a touch of them, because we're both very busy people. And the other ones that are helping us out at the moment as well, obviously Jay with Scops is doing a great job as well. But thank you, everyone. And let's wrap this thing up, because I know Braden's got a whole heap of stuff to do, mate. So where can people find you? What do you got planned?
Oh, not a lot planned anymore due to this lockdown, but you can find me. Hopefully, I'll try and get a stream up over the weekend. The streams will probably die down a little bit over the next sort of 8 to 10 weeks. But I'll try my best to be able to try and get a couple of streams up at least a week. I've been really enjoying the people coming over and watching. It was really nice to have a whole heap of encouragement for Sunday Night Lights, even though I did a terrible job. But if you want to find me streaming, come over to twitch.tv/the1dwade. Pushing towards 100 followers now, which is kind of cool, and getting some really good streams going. And if you want to hear me talking about anything else sport related, you can give me a follow on Twitter at Braden Talks.
Did I see you doing a non-racing stream the other day?
I did, yeah. I was a few of my mates.
Did a Halo.
Yeah,
Master
we were
Chief,
playing
was it?
some Halo Master Chief Collection. So back in the day, big Halo gamer. And yeah, we decided to jump back on. It was actually really fun. Not many people turned up for the stream. Killed my average viewers, but it was good fun nonetheless. So always come over and hang out. It was fun.
Yeah, definitely. You want to find out all our stuff, Locked On Lads on Facebook, Locked On Lads YT on YouTube. Thank you all the people who have followed us over there or subscribed to us over there. Keep on forgetting what's what. We are pushing on towards 400 over there, which is really good. Thousands is the goal, because that's when we can start monetizing that side of things, which sort of helps us out, which I'll get onto in a sec. Twitch, Locked On Lads is a place to find us over there, creeping up towards 500 over there, which is really good. Going to be getting a payout from that. So thank you to everyone who's been subscribing, cheering, any kind, just watching the ads. You're all helping out build up this kitty we've got, which we're going to announce a few things over the next couple of weeks. But look out on other ways you can support us with that fairly soon. But it's all, obviously, this is costing us a chunk of money, so every little cent helps at the moment. It stops me from going bankrupt. But you can also find us on Facebook, like I said, Locked On Lads. LockedOnLads.com/Discord's the big one, or in the show notes. Get it over there as well. I am trying to line up some merchandise, so look out on the storefront soon. There'll be ways to purchase some Locked On Lads merchandise, which is our overall brand, which everything falls under. If that stuff is successful, we'll start doing more niche merchandise to do with Locked On Racing, or Locked On iRacing podcast, or Locked On Lads, the Man Cave.
We know you all want to pick up a Locked On Lads Peter Wilkinson branded racing t-shirt. That's got to be a hot seller.
It probably won't be, but I had a really good design for a Locked On Racing Team with all the names on the back and have your own unique number on the front. But for now, I'm talking to someone. Hopefully, we'll be able to get costs way down and quality way up by doing it local, and doing it in a bit of a bulk thing. So keep an eye out for that. If you want anything in particular, let me know, because I'm in the planning phases of all that, and now's the time to let us know. But until then, thank you everyone for hanging around. Share it with everyone. Give us a review, all that kind of stuff. All of that helps. But have a good week all, and we'll catch you next week. See you later. Bye.
Drive safe, drive fast.